morning, everyone. It's Wednesday the 3rd of April 2024. I'm going to say it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Sun isn't up just yet. The street lights are still on. I hope there's enough light for you to see while I'm filming here. Obviously I'm on my morning run and I'm just on the path around runs beside the Mulwaree River. Comes out of the old Goulburn cemetery. Ahead of me here is what's called Fitzroy Flats. So what I wanted to talk about today was success in running. What makes successful runners, or what does success look like when you're running? Now I suppose the simple answer to that is to say, well, I came first, I got a PB, I won a medal or something like that. And of course, only one person can come first. You're not always going to get a PB, and if it's one of those organised running events like the City to Surf, then everyone gets a medal. So success has to be different things. Now I don't have any magic formulas to give you to make you successful or to ensure success, but I thought if I talked a bit about some of the things that I see as success, then maybe in your running you'll see them the same way. I think it's important to do that because there are going to be times when you go running and you just don't seem to be going anywhere. Your times aren't getting better, or something just isn't feeling right. So let's talk about the things that might make up success. So using parkrun is the example. I can remember the very first time that I ran 1 full kilometre at a parkrun. I'd been doing it before that, and I'd been doing it running and run and walk and so on. And for some reason, I don't know the reason, but I suppose it was, I thought, let's see what I can do. I decided to see how far I could run without needing to stop and walk. And the course that I was on, it's up in Brisbane, and they had a 1 kilometre marker on the path, and I passed that and I felt really good. I took that as a success because I'd never done that before. And so I persevered, kept at it, did running on other days besides Saturdays, of course. And I won't say it was like boom, next thing I'm running a full 5k, but again, I remember the first time I ran the full 5k, I felt pretty good about it. I don't know what time I recorded, but it would have been outside the half hour, I'm sure. But nevertheless, I felt that was a success for me because again, I'd never done that distance before. And there's the physical aspect to running, and then the psychological aspect. And the psychological aspect is telling your mind that you can do things that you haven't done before. Now, again, not long after that, not the next day, but a little while later, I was out in Launceston in Tasmania at the park run I go to there. Not on a park run day, just another day of running. And I was there because I knew exactly the distance of that course, so we're going to be no guessing about how far to run and so on. And I saw a lady who was a regular at the park run, and she was doing her third lap of a 2.5 kilometre course. And so I thought, well, if she can do it, then I'll have a go at it. And so I did. And again, up to that point, the 7.5 kilometres was the longest distance I had ever run. So again, I saw that as a success on myself. Now, I realise that 7.5 kilometres isn't a running distance. In other words, there's no event where people run 7.5. So a couple of days later, I thought, well, if you can run 3 laps, you know the layout of that course. So I went down there again and I ran 4 laps to make the 10k. And of course, I felt really good about that because, again, it was a distance I hadn't done and I'd knocked it off. So their body had done what I wanted it to do, and my mind had accepted the challenge and taken it and done it. And I looked at the time, which was a bit over an hour, and I thought, I want to do this again, and I want to bring it in under the hour. And I wouldn't say I went back the next day, but a little while later I went back, or I went somewhere else, and I ran the 10k, and I brought it in at about 54 minutes something. Now I know I'm not going to get a phone call from Senior Men's Health to interview me on that basis. That's okay. I wasn't looking for that sort of thing. I was looking for the ability to run 10 and run it in under an hour. And during that time that I was in Launceston in Tasmania, I started increasing my running. So I'd done 12, so I thought, why not 10, why not 12, 14, whatever. And so I just kept pushing myself. And sometimes it was hard. I'm not trying to give the impression that it was easy. Sometimes it was hard. And I'm not saying any of these things to boast. I hope that nobody thinks, listen to that bloke popping his chest out about what he's done. Not what I'm doing it for. I'm just trying to just use my own running as an example to maybe illustrate the points I'm trying to make. unhappy if I thought anything in this video discouraged anybody, whilst I'm not here to say, look at me, I'm an inspiration. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying these are things that I've done, and this is how I see success. And so maybe you can translate some of it into your own running experience or running. So eventually one day I'm in Launceston and I go on this really long run, and when I finish it I've done 19.1 or something around that number as my distance, which I was pretty chuffed about, of course, and took as a success, but also took as a bit of a disappointment because 19.1 is not a distance. And so a couple of days later I was out again and I ran the magic half marathon distance, and of course I claimed that success. When I claimed it, I just told myself, well, look what you've done. And I'd gone from running 5 kilometres to running 10 kilometres, and from the 10 to the half marathon in a space of between somewhere in April to somewhere in June. And I hadn't set out with a training program or a plan or anything like that. I'd just done it by just going out and running and challenging myself physically and mentally each time I went. Now, it's not to criticise people who have running plans or programs, it's just to say I didn't have one. So beyond those distances, I once set out running around Goulburn just to see how far can I run from my home, get back to my home. And it turned out that run was 28.8 kilometres. Took me 3.5 hours to do it. And you're probably thinking, who's got 3.5 hours to do that? Well, being as I'm retired, I've got all day to do it if I want. So running can be, or success in running can be just running a particular distance. And if you've never run before, then you take it up, start slowly, be realistic, and you will get to the point where you run 1k without stopping. And then you'll add more and more till you're doing 5k and so on. Now, running, of course, can also be about times. And whether you're doing the official park run or just another run like this one, you've got to watch. You're going to be setting it and recording your time. And sometimes you're going to set a PB and other times you aren't. You're not going to set a PB every week, but sometimes you might say, well, I'm going to push really hard and see how fast I can run the first kilometre. Or, although it doesn't really apply to us, see how fast I can run the first mile. And the time that you do it, and on my smartwatch, is the Garmin HR Vito, whatever all that means. I think the HR stands for heart rate. But when you do a thing like run the fastest kilometre or mile or whatever distance it is, it gives you a little trophy. So you know it's there, and it stays there until you raise it, or every now and again my watch has a hissy fit, it resets itself and erases all my records, so I have to set new ones. So success can be running a particular time for just part of your run. The rest of it you go, well, I've set that record now, I'll just go at an easier pace now. Success can be running a particular course. Now it might be a 10k run, but it might be on a route that you've never run before, and when you've completed it, you're able to feel good about it because it had some challenges for you. So, for example, just outside of not far from my house, there's a particularly steep hill, and my dog likes to go up there when we're walking, and I had walked up and down it, or walked up it many times, and had two thoughts. One, I could run this, and two, no you can't, it's too steep, you'll get halfway up, you have to start walking, or you have to turn around and go back down. And so after procrastinating and finding excuses for it, not doing it, I just one day decided to bite the bullet and go out and see if I could do it. And I did. And for those who live locally, outside the Clinton Street, Weo Road entrance of Trinity Catholic College is Gilmore Street. And so I ran up that hill. And when I got to the top, it was kind of a rocky moment. You know, when he gets up the top of the stairs at Pittsburgh or wherever it is. Because, again, I'd done it. And so I took that as a success. I continued running that day, and again, for the locals, if you keep on that road, go around Dixon Street, you come to Newton Street, which is the site of Wallandilly School, and again the hill is not quite as steep, but it's longer, and it always had been in front of me, and I'd walk my dog up there thinking I could run it, but never had. And so I did. And so again, I took that as a success. I'm trying not to labour the point here, but what I'm wanting to say is that success in running will take a lot of different forms. Only one person can win the event. Only one person can be the first person in their age group, or the first in their gender, or whatever. But everybody can experience success, and it's not like I turn up at the kids' athletics camp, everyone gets a medal or a ribbon. But it is that, first of all, you're out there running, and you're only running, well, no matter how many times a week you do it, you're out there doing it. And I think of the people at park run every Saturday. Last Saturday, for example, 138 turned up to run in Goulburn. Got a pretty good number, I thought. And every one of those people can say, well, I was out here on a Saturday morning, I was running, and other people were still tucked up in bed or on the couch or whatever. And so they claim a success just getting out there and doing it. There'll be distances and courses and times where you're able to claim, well, that's something I haven't done before, or this time I've done it better than I did it last time. And I know that running by its nature is competitive, even when there's nobody else to run against like I am at the moment. But excuse me, the real competition is between yourself and the clock. So you're trying to better yourself, trying to do better this time than you did last time. You're trying to run a little faster, run a little longer, whatever it might be. And the thing I want you to take away from this video, if you've got to the end here, is acknowledge the fact that you're out there doing it. Acknowledge the fact that every time you go out and run, you're going to experience something that's a success. Even if it is, well, I got up, it was a bit chilly, and I wasn't really in the mood. And I put on my gear, I went out, I did it, and I got back home. And that's a success. So, enjoy your running. Take every run as having some success to it. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next running video.